answer to this month's Cayman quiz. We headed into the bush with Paul Watler from the National Trust.
Oddly enough, it was my great-great-grandfather, as far as I can tell, maybe sometime in the 1800s. And he lived in Lower Valley, but he had some land out here that he was farming. He kept cows as well as a lot of citrus, is what we understand as the story goes. So he wanted a highway to get up into here as quick as he could. You can imagine back in these days you'd have to come north along past further grounds and take the coast road around East End to get back to Lower Valley, or you would have to struggle through all that bush with a full, thatch basket or ground basket full of citrus. That's not going to be easy, especially if you have a donkey or a horse that's carrying stuff for you. So he made a causeway going through the swamp, through Lower Valley, all the way up to Breakers. What we keep open as public access now is about 2 miles. However, originally the Mastic Trail was 10 miles long.
Since mastering the Mastic Trail is in my guide's blood, I overcame my fears and became one with nature.
You have to try everything once. And actually all the people that I bring back here have a good time. There's always a bird for somebody, a plant or a flower for somebody, even a reptile. Some ladies say they don't like snakes, but they take one look at that bright blue lizard and they just fall in love with it. I would definitely describe it as a hidden gem for the fact that there's a lot of people who come here to go scuba diving. And anytime it's too rough to go scuba diving, that's when I have a lot of people who would rather be swimming come hiking with me. So it's definitely a wonderful place. Not only is there a lot of endemic plants to see, there's also wonderful birds and great reptiles. And it also takes you through 2 completely different ecosystems. You start at the north, where you'll see some dry forest, and when you get down to the south, it'll actually be a wetland swamp.
I've lived here in the Cayman Islands for 20 years. I came here in 1987, and I worked for 16 of those years very hard as a lawyer, so all my daylight hours were spent in the office, and I didn't get a chance to come out here, but I'm very pleased to have come out here, and I'm regret I didn't come here several years ago.
And if you don't feel good along the way, you can take a leaf off of what's called the headache bush. You can use it to create a medicinal tea, or you can fold it up, put it in the side of your mouth to cure toothache. And it quickly kicks in because you can feel a numbing sensation.
I try to keep my Mastic Trail hikes very interactive. It's not just looking and listening, it's also what you can smell, what you can taste. So for example, we'll come to an Indian almond tree or a sea grape tree that was, some bait was brought back for rabbit hunting, and people will be able to learn about that, how those little bait fruits got left there and they ended up growing into trees. You'll also learn about things like tamarind and mango, how people would probably be eating those for a snack as they walked along the trail, and once you got down to the pits or to the seeds, you would end up discarding those, and those also grew into trees. You can probably see the Indian almond tree growing behind me. If those are in season, I'll happily pick a few and let the tourists or the locals, whoever happens to be walking that day, have a taste of some local fruit. You'll also come to things like headache bush or pepper cinnamon, which you can taste and get a rather spicy sensation on your tongue. You can also come across things like jasmine flowers or strawberry bush leaves, rosemary bush leaves as well, which you can crush and smell, and they give off a pleasing aroma. Endemic trees and other wildlife, such as what you would only see in Cayman, include things like silver thatch and the wild banana orchid. There's also the Cayman parrot, the ironwood tree. There's also several birds. A lot of people don't realize, but the ching-ching, which is very common, is actually an endemic subspecies, meaning you only find it here. Different things like the striped-headed tanager and the Cayman bullfinch are really good to see on the Mastic Trail because they like it very quiet. Other reptiles, including most of the snakes we see here, are at least endemic subspecies, but the little blue lizard, the blue-throated nole, is also a full species endemic.
I think because you would never know what certain trees are, and like that bird that we saw, that I would have never realized that it was special to see the bird if I hadn't had a guide that would point it out to me. And I kind of like the learning aspect of it. It makes it a bit more meaningful.
If you really want to connect with nature and you want to lose yourself in a small jungle, this is the place to come. It's on a very small scale. It's very personable. Anyone who likes wild hiking, which I do in other countries, it's really nice.
If you embark on this eco-adventure, make sure you wear hiking boots or sneakers, carry lots of bottled water, and pack plenty of sunscreen and bug spray. For more information, log on to www.natltrustcaymanisl.org.ky. Until then, happy hiking!